ahead.
Okay, well, welcome to class, everyone. My name is Tyler McCormick, and I'm going to be presenting. This is the Skills for Life class. I'm going to move to this brand new shiny whiteboard that Alan made for us.
Oh,
Thank
pretty.
you, Alan, for doing that. It's going to make things a lot easier. So, this is the Skills for Life class, and there's 7 principles that we teach in the Skills for Life class, beginning with thought. Thought creates reality. As we think, so we are. All thought is creative. Every thought sends out creative energy.
It's fun to see that picture so up close.
Yeah,
Love
it's
it.
a little different. Yeah.
Great.
That's awesome.
And with thought, as thought develops, we gain perception. So your perception creates your reality, and your perception is your reality. Next, we have choice and accountability. So we always have a choice, and the outcomes are the consequences of those choices. This is what makes us conscious beings. This is what makes our ability to direct things in our lives, and it makes it so that we can create what we want. The next principle is cause and effect. Energy is never lost, it must be resolved. Matter doesn't disappear, and neither does energy. Abundance and gratitude is the next principle. Abundance is the natural state of the universe. Isn't it great to understand that that is actually the natural state of the universe? And health and healing will be the topic that I'll be covering tonight. Your mind directs your body, and your body knows how to heal. You just help it along. And there are many choices that we can make to help our body heal. There's many things that we can do to help that healing along. That's what we'll be talking about tonight in class. The last principle is harmony and rhythm. Harmony comes from attunement. There is a basic rhythm to all creation, including human beings. In the Rapid Eye community, we have a couple of things that we remind ourselves of, beginning here with HHF, which stands for Help, My Hair is on Fire. I truly believe that as we gain confidence in connecting with the Rapid Eye community whenever we're in distress, knowing that we can send out an HHF, that we don't have to tell a story, and knowing that we just need support and we need energy. The more I think that we practice this, I think we'll be able to gain confidence like I did in knowing and recognizing what that's doing for us as we're asking for that help. During our sojourn in life, we get what we call a universal 2x4. And I actually like to think of this in a positive way. I actually don't mind what a 2x4 is, or a reminder, or some kind of signal that my body's giving me, my environment, or something that I'm picking up on, saying, hey, something's not quite right. I actually kind of like those because it helps me remember to pause, take stock of how I'm living. If it's a pattern in my life that I need to interrupt, I'm looking at that. I'm taking a really good look at that. In a way, we kind of want those 2x4s, not to the point where it gets to be a Mack truck, because that's a whole nother thing on a whole nother other level. So the Mack truck is something that just kind of pummels you, and most people, I don't think, would want that, because that comes after ignoring several 2x4s, many 2x4s, and it's good to remember that if we can stop and recognize the two by fours, then we're not going to get the Mack truck, which is really a heavy-handed reminder that I think nobody wants. And in theme with tonight's class, this is an acronym: Pay Attention Inside Now. These are, we call them, if you will, two by fours, or just signals that our body gives us, and sometimes our environment and other things, to help us pause and pay attention to what's going on and what might have caused the thing that's drawing our attention. Pain is actually a good thing in signaling us. Not that we like to feel pain, but it's also there for us as a signal. And as we are creators and we put out into the universe what we conceptualize, what we think about in terms to perception and other things, and it rolls forward, if we are putting something out to the universe that we know will end up being something like perhaps a 2x4 or a Mack truck, we always have the choice to say, cancel that, to signal to the universe, because the universe communicates in frequency, that we don't want what we put out, so that we have the opportunity to cancel at any time something that we probably intended better to put out to the universe. And with that, to assist us in this journey, is the 4-step self-care protocol that I have always championed. This is one of the things that has allowed me to be able to experience more success in life, because this allows us to do our own personal inner work that helps us create what we want. So this is something that's available to anybody participating. This is something that all technicians are going to promote, either for their clients or family members to learn, because this is the thing that helps us actively choose what we want to, as we're talking about putting things out in the universe. If we want to trade in anger for joy, that's within our power. If we want to trade in depression for happiness, whatever the polarity, we have that choice. And this is a 4-step self-care protocol, is a very thoroughly researched amalgamation of steps that cover things that just kind of floor me. The energy work that we're doing when we use the self-care protocol, this is something that if you have experienced it, you know how powerful it is. And this is something that I would always recommend to clients and family members alike. Okay. So that ends that for now. I'm going to begin the slideshow in a moment. I'm going to use Julia Fairchild's slideshow, but I inserted one slide that was just different for the purposes of this class. So, I have a question. How can we create active health and healing?
Comes down to focus.
Yeah, I was going to say consciousness.
Yeah, consciousness.
And thinking about your body physically and emotionally as well as mentally. What am I needing, and how can I give it to myself?
Right.
Give your body directions, like saying, I want that pain in my leg to heal, and calm. Just keep telling your body, hey, you can do this. You can heal this sciatica. Actually, notice the pain reduces.
The body's designed to do that. The body's designed to heal itself.
I,
Go ahead, Cheryl.
I think to heal our body, we can be in agreement with the universe, because it's like you say, the body's designed to heal itself.
Right.
So if we can be in agreement, That could be one way to start.
Right. Being in agreement. Uh, being in harmony, which is not part the topic of this class, being in harmony, being in synchronicity. So I'm going to
Yeah.
show the start of the slideshow at this particular slide. So active health and healing involves an awakening. See, this is a slide that was different in her presentation. I just inserted it briefly for the topic to open up as a discussion. So active health and healing involves an awakening. So what can we do to consciously guide regeneration and overall well-being? And I like Cheryl's answer. Are there any other thoughts about that?
Well, I think it's kind of trial and error because we're all different. It's figuring out what works for my body, what yeah, it's looking at there's a plethora of information out there. Try this thing, try that. It's figuring out what works for you.
Right. And that figuring out is probably the most important part if we're going to guide the process, because we're actively thinking about it, like Linnell was talking about. So the mind directs the body, and we direct the mind. And we live in an era where the mind-body connection is becoming universally accepted, both in scientific and alternative circles. It's actually, at least for me, beneficial to know that a lot of doctors, they understand this. They understand that just pure positivity helps with the healing process. They can medically say that. That's always been, at least since I'd heard a doctor once say that when I visited it was an EMT, I think, it had something to do with sinuses. And I heard him say that. I'm like, yeah, that's impressive, because, a lot of people get caught up in things that, they want substances to just kind of do all the work for them. But as beings as we are, we have the opportunity to put power behind anything that we choose to do to heal the body. I'm talking about the body, but what I mean by the body is all that involves the body. So everything that we have with the physical body, everything that we have with the emotional, mental, and spiritual. I just wanted to make that clear. So this is not a new idea. Helen Flanders Dunbar, a pioneer in psychosomatic medicine and dubbed the mother of holistic medicine, wrote in her book, Mind and Body, "It is not a question of whether an illness is physical or emotional, but how much of each." I really like and appreciate that, because what we study in Rapid Eye, we make these connections. We understand that there are different levels of our body. And we know that there's intertwinement with the spiritual as well as the emotional, mental, and the physical. It's really important to know this if we endeavor to guide the process of healing. So, an illness has its primary origin in the mind rather than the body. And we know that the mind is where the beginning of conception is, its thought. So, and we remember, as we think, so are we. Pain, be it physical or emotional, results from an imbalance somewhere in your being. It is evidence of some sort of toxin. It may be toxic food, toxic emotions, or a toxic relationship. So I'll ask Tanya this question. Has there ever been, and I don't necessarily mean relationship, but has there ever been any of these examples in your life that you could tell directly after a while was affecting your health?
Yes, absolutely. When I started working with a gal, I got into business with her. She had a dog grooming business and was also teaching obedience. And I was going to take on teaching dog obedience and agility. And I got into this business so fast with her. And she seemed great. But the more I got to know her, the more I felt like she was out of integrity with a lot of things, but especially with how she treated other people's dogs. And things would really bother me. And I noticed driving home, I would have cramps in my jaw.
Uh-huh.
It would start to hurt. And it was only after I'd been around her all day.
Yeah.
And and I definitely looked at the symbolism of the fact that it's my jaw. What was I not saying? What was I not getting out? What was I not dealing with? And it was making me super stressed and upset and overwhelmed, but it was showing up as these physical symptoms in my body.
Right. And I'm thank you for sharing that. That is definitely an example of identifying and making a connection. Not that we make a judgment, but when it's our life, when it's our health, you got to be able to look at things that might be influencing that, whether it's environment or maybe another person. And of course, we don't need to judge. We just need to say, okay, I can make this connection that this is influencing in some way my health. And for me, in my experience, a lot of it had to do with this vocational work environment. That should come, surprise to a lot of people. Any other thoughts?
Tyler,
Well,
Tyler, this is Marion, and I just, as you and Tanya were sharing this example, I realized there is a valid reason to have discernment. It
Yeah,
isn't about judgment. It isn't
right,
about putting the other person down. The capacity to have discernment about the messaging that's coming up in your own body, in
right,
your own thoughts, your own, you know, and that's part of knowing from inside forth, from inside out, right?
right. Thank you for mentioning that, because I totally agree. There's a huge difference between making a judgment and putting the feelers out to know how to help yourself be affected the way that you choose.
Mhm.
So judgment is adding narrative, but discerning is simply discerning. It's simply putting those feelers out. So thank you, Marion, for bringing that up. That is really important to understand.
Well, it definitely for me illustrated my codependency,
Yeah,
my need to please, to be nice, to get along with everybody. And I just got to the point where I realized her energy for me was toxic.
right.
And in order for myself to get better, I needed to remove myself from the situation, which was very difficult for me because I did not like to have to confront someone that was this isn't working for me. And I have the language now, but at the time I was scared to death, and it
Yeah,
caused me a lot of stress and pain, and a lot of arguments with my husband where he's trying to fix it and I'm like, you can't fix it, I gotta fix it. So, but
right.
yeah.
That last part in particular, I'm glad you mentioned, because I feel like if I'm not taking stock about how an environment or a person might be affecting my health, then what am I bringing home with me? Not just myself. What am I passing along? You know what I mean? Or do I have at least a tendency to pass along, potentially, right?
Yeah.
That's something else good to think about. So thank you.
Well, and Tyler, there's another aspect of that also has to do with are we cycling and arguing within ourselves,
Uh-huh.
or are we willing to reach out and get some feedback? Tanya was so kind to say, this was causing issues between my husband and I, and yet how do we shift it into, I need some perspective. Let me run this past you and hear their input. Yet ultimately, we each have to make the choices and the action ourselves. So there's levels of accountability that come into play, and it's valid to get some sounding board going on. You can even keep the person nameless. You can say, I've been wondering how to deal with this. Now, Tanya, in your example, Eric kind of knew who you were with.
He read her energy way before I did. Yeah. He just knew. He's like, really? You're going to do this? You're going to go into business with this lady? Yeah. And, he was worried the whole time. But, yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys for mentioning these things. These are very helpful to remember. So going back to the slideshow here. So pain serves as a positive purpose. See, that's why I said that in the beginning, because nobody wants pain, but in the end, and I'll speak for myself, I am grateful to a degree, and I am human, so I can't say that I just like enjoy pain. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that pain serves, as this is saying, a positive purpose. Without our indicator lights, we would basically be blind. We would be oblivious to the effects of maintenance. The maintenance needs that we need, our vehicle. Likewise, our corporal vehicle uses pain as indicators to let us know that something is amiss. So ignoring them can leave you stranded on the side of the road. So there's that question. So why are we more attentive to our dashboards than our own hearts? I can say that I don't always make this a parallel with a car, but it's definitely a very functional metaphor. Emotional pain is experienced physically. Who among us has not experienced heartache? So we get these examples like before with the dash that we can see on the car display. We can use other examples of just keeping up a lawnmower. And because it's summer, I know that that's going to be a familiar thing with people. It's like, after it's been winterized or just been stuck in the garage, we're having to break it out, and maybe we're wondering sometimes if we should have added more oil or should have taken better care of it, and kind of make that as a metaphor for our lives. How many things do we let go, put on the shelf, and we do get busy, and that is part of it, but sometimes we let things go a little bit. And in this case, like, emotional pain is something that human beings have a tendency to bury. This is why we study what we do in Rapid Eye. Physical and emotional pain is also the language of spirit, guiding us along paths and drawing our attention to hidden issues that need to be addressed for our own best and highest good. And these are some particular areas. As every cell knows itself to be a skin cell or a brain cell or a blood cell and behaves accordingly, every cell also has emotional intelligence. Emotions are stored in areas of the body which relate to that emotion, the place from which that emotion is expressed. Thus, the issues are in the tissues. I really like how that rings. The issues are in the tissues. And this right here is something that we can make reference to as technicians, but also people who are learning the skills for life can get a glimpse at where the issues are in the tissues. I mean, right here on the side, here's the arm. Anger can be found right here, there, in that, along the neck. Sadness in the chest, that makes a lot of sense. Fear here in the feet. Our bodies literally will sometimes twitch when it gets to be really strong. These are all signals, and it may not feel that way, but this is a really good thing. It's good news. The body has built-in warning signals to keep us safe and well, and to encourage our spiritual growth. Change happens when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change. And I can go long periods of time ignoring signals, not because I intend to, but because I get busy. So, this class, and I'm going to put a plug in for this class. This class has helped me personally be more effective in my interpersonal work, and also being able to help my family. My skill level has gone up just being conscious of the principles and topics that we talk about in class. And so the class itself has been one of those things that's helped me keep inventory of my own personal health.
Can I make a comment there?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's also helped me just dealing with mom being gone and rambling around this house all by myself. And I know that on Thursday night, I'm going to see my people. Makes me really happy. Sometimes I even zip a text to those people that I really want to see. It's like, please jump on. And it's my way of asking for support. I think I'm looking forward to June in basic, and I would really love to have people come. It's the first training since mom's been gone. And I don't know, I just feel like I may not feel always support, that I want sometimes from family members. And Alan and Mark have been great. You know what I mean? I love that and I have appreciated that. But I also know I have my community, my Rapid Eye community, my Souls community. I mean, every time I see Larissa's face, it makes me smile. I'm like, it's been too long and I am so happy to see her. But you can know if you get a text from me going, hey, you want to come? I admit it's mostly selfish for me. And I love Thursday nights because I get to see everybody and feel supported. I just do. Maybe I've allowed that. It's good for my mental health.
I feel it too.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see Larissa. I know it was a while back when it's like it was a 1 week and you're saying, you remember me? I was like, yeah. And see Cheryl and then Marion, it's great to hear from her too.
Yeah.
So Tyler, this is very helpful to understand the interchange that happens in setting, even with Zoom and technology being our method of connecting.
Yeah.
And one of the things, Tyler, when you're talking about the emotional, paying attention to this, those body signals that it's stored in the body, the issues are in the tissues,
Yep.
and the witness is in the tissues also.
Mm-hmm.
That opens so many doors to be able to talk with someone about what you can accomplish in Rapid Eye, what you can accomplish in a life skills class to raise our own awareness, right? To take a look at, I never thought about the things that I say, I've been feeling so sad and my heart is heavy, or I've been this or that. And you start making those suggestions that it opens up whole areas of wonder and, wow, maybe my body is attempting to tell me something. Maybe I do have something I haven't dealt with that's painful in my liver, anger in my liver or something. Anyway, I think that's a really cool way to be able to share with people, to invite to come to join in on life skills. As soon as I got to where I was back to home, I was shooting out messages to like 3 people, like, hop on, it's already started. And I saw Marilyn got on.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's pretty cool when you think about that issue in the tissues has some meaning. and it has some things to understand. And a rapid eye tech can really assist you to work through that, you know?
Right. And thank you, Linnell and Marion, both for sharing what you have. I totally agree. And also, for me, the skills for life, there's no better way to introduce people to rapid eye than skills for life. And I don't think there's a time where I have come away from a class without being uplifted. And like something, being present for me to now focus on to address in health and healing. And so those things will come up, and as people participate, I'm thrilled that they ask very, important questions of curiosity, because that's where they start to learn. Because when you ask questions, and with intent, you'll get those answers. And our community is very helpful in giving those answers, and also creating an environment for inspiration to flow. So, and speaking of those toxic emotions that do get lifted, I really do feel a load lifted off my shoulders every time I'm in class. So I'm going to show this next slide that, or focus on it. I brought it up here, but now I'm going to talk about it. So toxic emotions create toxic chemicals in the body, which affect the body accordingly. Factually, it is impossible to be fearful, anxious, irritated, and healthy at the same time. So we can at least rest assured that there's no mingling of that. We can have assurance that the power that our body has to create fear, for example, also has the power to create the complete opposite of that. Or anxious or irritated, what we consider the complete opposite of that. So your physical health is a reflection, a very good reflection. Our subconscious mind takes its direction from our system of beliefs, oft repeated self-talk. That's where we can nip it in the butt, is how we talk about our situations, ourselves, other people, our environment. And these are things that create patterns. So, and other patterns that run in our minds, hearts, and families of origin. This is really where we can sort things out, especially if we've made connections and we've identified problems. The power of the subconscious mind is many times more powerful than that of the conscious mind. So leaving it on automatic pilot can be problematic if we haven't weeded our mental and emotional garden. So when we take time to think about these things, we take time out and we focus on these things in class, we're basically meditating, we're pondering, we're getting these things out. So a few words of extreme caution: no healing journey can be assisted by blame, shame, guilt, or judgment of yourself or anyone else ever. Hopefully, as we go and we learn, that becomes more clear for us. We have no idea until we do the work what plans our or their higher self has in store for our spiritual growth, or that of those we love, in creating their current seemingly reality. Blaming ourselves or anyone else is only ever harmful. And I've really appreciated what Linnell has said in other classes, that if you spot it, you got it. So that said, we are ultimately responsible for our own health and well-being. And speaking of spotting it, I'd like to ask Alan, there's a time that he can think of where he was thinking of somebody and then realized later it was connected to himself.
Thinking of someone else,
You were thinking of something else, and you were feeling something about like something that they were saying or doing, but then you recognized it in yourself.
Yeah, it happened last night. Was at Sprouts, and they have this thing where if you bring back a bag, they don't charge you 10 cents for a new bag, right?
Right.
So I pulled this bag out and I said I asked the checker, I asked the bagger to please, use this bag. The checker charges me for a bag anyway. And I just got into a rage. The social contract was violated. I followed the rules and he just charged me anyway. I think kind of, and I guess that would kind of thought to myself is, oh, how am I doing this to myself? Am I not following my rules properly? Like maybe I've let people down because I charged them anyway, despite, um, or, overcharging somebody by their time or their energy. And so I've just been really looking at that closely about, because there's the only reason why I would get mad about something was only 10 cents. And as what Kelly pointed out, well, why are you so angry?
Right.
So I've been really I've been kind of circling on that a bit, thinking about how to be more careful, observing if I'm not shortchanging somebody, overcharging or shortchanging. I don't know how you say it, but
Right. I can imagine that. Well, thank you for sharing that, Alan. I can imagine that most of us think of ourselves as reasonably good people, right?
yeah,
Um, but if we can apply, spot it, you got it. Whether that's a signal coming from our body, it's making a connection with ourselves or environment, or if we find ourselves judging somebody else, thinking that stand alone, that they've got a problem. If we can identify it with that degree of energy, we might ask ourselves, hey, I might have the same thing.
The
But
other
we're
thing,
good.
sorry. The other
Go
thing
ahead.
I've noticed too, it's also if it's something I've worked a lot on myself, something I've recognized in myself that I've done a lot of years worth of internal work on, and then you meet someone who's has the same issue, but they're like just starting to see it. There's something about it that just irritates me.
oh,
They know what buttons to push, I guess.
yeah,
And it's not even conscious. It's like they're playing out this learning in their own experiences and their own world, and they don't even have any clue. It's pushing buttons on anybody else,
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when those little trip ups happen, and you go to take a look, that was an awesome example that Alan gave, because it seems like 10 cents, a dime. That ought not be that big of a deal. But yet, what you start finding yourself thinking is, was I supposed to have a conversation with this checker? What if I had stayed calm and I said, "Oh man, I handed you the bag. Do you want to give me another bag?" So that because I paid for another bag, and turn it into humor. I find myself at times, this sounds so weird, I so admire when people can stay collected in their thoughts and they can use humor to get everybody included back in, or have the exchange take a different turn. And man, I it comes out in a phone voice, it comes out in all sorts of communication. I think there's got to be a better way to do this, right? So does
exactly.
that trigger anything for you, Tyler, that might be
Actually,
useful?
actually, yeah, and this with you saying that, I've met so many people who appreciate the same thing, a good sense of humor, because it keeps you from attracting into your life more of what you don't want. So, I mean, and it's also it interrupts patterns, because the atmosphere gets a little thick and people are just really tense, and it's just like the most welcome thing when somebody can crack a joke and then everybody just feels better. The room's lighter, or everybody just is, they almost, they a lot of times they just forget what was upsetting them. And that's such a good thing to have a good sense of humor, because it's worth it to be able to do all that we can in the moment to keep from drawing or dwelling on things that attract things in our life that we would rather not have. So I've heard many people say it, and I'm the same way. I appreciate a good sense of humor. So thank you for sharing that.
I think that's one of the qualities I learned from Mom Renee, because I grew up, you know, going to Amway conferences and all these different positive self-help things. And
Mhm.
I learned things like stinking thinking,
Oh yeah.
a good way to remember things. And she was always saying things in a way, she called them one-liners to help you remember to be more positive. Okay. And so to this day, I used it today, interaction with one of my older brother. And I walked away saying, I feel his um, unattractive trait that he has to be right. So spot it, you got it. And I thought, where do I do that? Because I can see it so plainly. And it's like, I want to be really careful as a facilitator, as a friend, as everything, not to think I have all the answers. Okay. And all those Zen things on Facebook that say, the wise people talk less. Right. So
So
I really want to
awesome.
work on that and listen more.
Can
Thank
I
you.
share?
Thank you for sharing that, and I appreciate it. Go ahead, Cheryl.
My daughter sent me, I have a tendency to send too many videos because I think it's helpful and I like it. And I'm thinking everybody else like it. But she sent me a text saying, because she has fibroids. And so she's considering having a hysterectomy. So, and I sent her this video about this girl who healed her fibroids by doing massages, and teas, and exercising and eating different. And so she told me she basically kind of, I guess, she texted me. I rather it called me, but she texted me and say, I don't need you to solve my problems, and you'd be better off. No, she said, you're welcome to use that energy to focus on your own health. You can't force info on people that haven't asked for it. And he said, and she said, I think you think you're helping, but it's not helpful and it's sometimes harmful. So I guess she's considering a hysterectomy, but me sending her these things and telling her that maybe she's feeling that she's not making the right decision because I'm sending her stuff big. So first I was upset about it and I just said okay before I just didn't collect my thoughts, and then I texted back and told her that it wasn't my intention to make her feel bad. Uh, and not trying to traumatize her because I care. And so I know I have a tendency to be codependent about things like that, trying to fix it for people. So I'm aware that's one of my issues. Um, just because, I feel like I care, so I do these things, but people don't necessarily see it the way I see it. And so I'm trying to hear what she said. And I said, I hear you loud and clear, but I told her that because she sent me things, because she said, she haven't asked for me to send her things, but I said, she sent me things. I said, when you send me things, that gives me a sense that it's okay to send you things. So let's just not send each other anything for a while, so we can kind of find a balance in there. So I don't know if I handled it the perfect way or whatever, but that's kind of how I chose to do it at the time. And I told her I hear her loud and clear. So I'm gonna work on that issue. I'm not
Carol,
sending.
you remind me of that. Sometimes I don't give advice or talk to close family members, because if Jesus couldn't be a prophet in his own land, what makes me think I can? And sometimes people will hear things from other people. So what I've been doing is praying that somebody else will send them that video, that they'll receive it better, they'll get the information. Because I know sometimes if it comes from me, they just don't like it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cheryl,
Uh,
for sharing that, and also Linnell for your comments. And speaking of not being a prophet in your own country, when you're dealing with people that are closest to you, and I've recognized the same thing, I realize just how powerful love becomes as a standalone tool, if you will. Because love just, it's not, love is not selfish. I mean, it's not self-serving. It is a frequency. It is something that helps elevate us and everybody around us. So when we endeavor to create love, because we are creators, we can create that love. I personally believe that that's what helps us get through the times when we are trying to reach those that are closest to us, not being accepted as a prophet in our own country. And I heard you, Cheryl, mention a couple of times that you're surrounded by people who don't believe in the principles that we talk about. Am I correct?
Yes.
That love can speak volumes. We sometimes are unaware of the effect of the love that we create and how that influences people. And like Bene's husband, who's going to be coming to Seoul, there's things that I know that he can sense that he can't quite put his finger on. But he knows for darn sure, he knows for sure that Bene's life has been, changed, especially Riley, right? And he's like, hey, I'm going to go where the light's at. So even if we don't feel like verbally we can reach people that are around us, that love will speak volumes. And that kind of segueing into what I was going to talk about the heart. How important is it for the heart to help with healing?
It's so easy, Tyler, to get busy in other people's world. And Cheryl, I saw my feelings are like, oh, to be a connector is a powerful, a wonderful fulfillment. And that took a lot to share about your daughter and yours interchange, because oftentimes when we go to the heart, to the emotions, it's challenging to share and or claim and pay attention to what it is we are really about, or what's our contribution in this, what's our receptivity in the relationship. So first and foremost, I think it begins with the relationship within ourselves, being, how do I claim my own emotions? How do I get into loving myself? Recognizing, am I worthy enough? And have I been questioning my worth? Am I willing to receive? Am I willing to examine? And I didn't mean to cascade all of that, but I will tell you, it has to begin within I feel like for myself, it has to begin within me. Because if I'm not able to advocate and love myself, how can I truly, honestly love someone else? They'll question where my integrity is. Anyway, that may be
Thank you for sharing that. The It's so much easier to love others if we've done the work ourselves to love ourselves. When we process issues, when we're doing client self-care, that reframe that we do, that circle around the heart, we say when we choose to love and accept ourselves, correct? And when we do that, we're now paving the way not only for our healing, but also the acceptance and love for others, and then their healing as well, because when they're drawn to that kind of energy. I'm going to show this video real quick. It's actually long, so I can't really say real quick. And it's one that we've shown before, but it does segue into the song. I think it's really important to remember just how just how complex but also beautiful the function of the heart is, and how, and this is how I equate it, this is what I say: love is life. It really is the flow of life. It is it kind of knits the universe together. So I'm gonna pull this up. It is long, so I'm not gonna spend too much time on it. But, and there's more than one doctor that has made comments about the nature of the heart, that, you know, when we were raised, we learn about the heart as a pump. And I'm, you know, gonna forever remember this Dr. Francisco Quast, if I'm pronouncing his name right. But I totally agree with the way that he said it. There are different ways of describing this, but I'm going to share this video here that really gets into it.
Let me just read this, because I think it's actually probably one of the best descriptions of the heart that I've ever run across. They taught you the heart was just a glorified meat pump, that it squeezes and pushes blood like some crude mechanical device, a hydraulic engine made of flesh. That is what they want you to believe, because if you buy into that primitive lie, you never ask deeper questions. But it is false. It has always been false, and the real science proves it. Dr. Francesco Torrenquas, a Spanish cardiac researcher, discovered what the textbooks refused to acknowledge, that the heart is not a pump. He dissected thousands of hearts and found that the heart is a single continuous muscle band folded into a spiral. He proved that the heart works like a vortex generator, creating suction and torque, not pressure. He called it the helical ventricular myocardial band, and it changes everything. The real movement of the blood comes from pressure differentials, electromagnetic flow, and coherent resonance. The blood spirals naturally. It need not be forced through miles of arteries and capillaries. The so-called pump is not strong enough to push thick fluid through 60,000 miles of tubing. That is basic physics. That lie was dead on arrival. Here is the truth. Blood moves before the heart forms in the embryo. That is, by the way, a documented fact. It flows via frequency, resonance, and electric charge. The body is a field, not a factory. Your heart creates a toroidal electromagnetic field that radiates 6 meters from the body. This field syncs with the earth, the sun, and every living being around you. It is a resonator, a tuner, a conductor. It aligns the rhythm of your cells. It feels, it remembers, it emits, and it responds to emotion, thought, light, sound, and breath. When you feel love, grief, fear, or peace, your heart transmits it. It is the central frequency modulator of your biology, not a pump. And the institutions know this. The Heart Math Institute has measured these fields for decades. They know the heart has more neuronal cells than parts of the brain. They know it is a second brain. They know coherence in the heart transforms the entire nervous system. So why are they still teaching children a 400-year-old guess from William Harvey that has never been updated? Because if you knew the truth, you would never accept statins or beta blockers again. Let me just read this.
Okay, so maybe it wasn't as long as I remembered. I thought that we're going to run out of time, but I'm going to say it again, because this is the way that I say it, that love is life. It is the flow of life, is what knits the universe together. And this isn't hippie talk. This is, science. But at the same time, when it comes to health and healing, if love indeed is life, and it's what knits the universe together, we know that we can apply what is never created or destroyed. So if matter is not created or destroyed, it's continuous. That is life, right? That is energy, is the same thing. Energy just moves. It's not created or destroyed. And so knowing this and knowing that love is the universal thing that holds things together, when it comes to health and healing, for those that study these things, I don't think I would get a contrary response by somebody saying, oh yeah, love can't play a role in healing. And I would say love plays the main role in healing. It's one of the reasons why in client self-care, when we verbalize, I choose to love and accept myself, it's there at the end with each step, or those first 2 steps where you do that reframe. That's very important. And it's also very important for all other types of healing. So, having said that, I'm going to play a song that I've already played before. Some of you are familiar with it. There might be some people who haven't heard it before. And also that video. I don't think everybody's been able to see it, but I felt like it was good to bring up again. So I'm going to share the song now that covers this topic. Where did it go? Here. Sorry, I got to back up for a second.
We've been told the heart is like a pump with a key and possibility of sending blood for miles on and through veins and arteries. More like a resonant frequency, an electric charge, to say nothing of a vortex as the force of movement that's at large. A muscle band folded spiral with torque and suction made, a conductor and transmitter, quite like a second brain. Dr. Quest, we hear you. Your message resonates, fitting that your middle name is torrid all the same. The ebb and flow of a life is continuous, so going forth and returning, circulating wide, sufficiently close. We hear the news, traveling fast and right on through to every part inside of us, giving out life like stirring dust. Somehow it's knowing what we all need, drawn to each other for that relief, reminding spirit, heart, mind, and body that we birth over. It's not a one-time thing. For that rebirth or reunion, it's not a one-time thing. For all those living, it's nothing new to be missing. The present for the dead, unknown, insistent. With every day that passes, there are plenty of goodbyes, hardly knowing for how long at a time. As if in rehearsal, we make reason to believe that friends and family will come back almost as often as they leave. Daily through the door, ordinary as before, with fear nowhere to be found, and perfect faith in store. The ebb and flow of a life, it's continuous, so right, going forth and returning, circulating wide, sufficiently close. We hear the news, traveling fast and right on through to every part inside of us, giving our life like stirring dust. Somehow it's knowing what we all need, drawn to each other for that relief, reminding spirit, heart, mind, and body that we birth
Fabulous. Thank you, Tyler. That was fabulous. Thank you for a great class.
Have a good week, everybody.
So Tyler, I have a quick question. In the chat, I put the link to the Dr. Tom Cowan's video that you shared, and I thanked you there. And you and Alan maybe can help me know, when the recordings go in, can people access the comments, or are they only during the live Zoom? Oh, you're muted, Tyler.
Yeah, I don't think that they can access when you watch the movie, when you watch the recorded show on YouTube, you don't see the comments. Unfortunately.
Okay.
Oh,
So
that's too bad, dog.
no, I have a suggestion, you guys, and let's spread the word, and maybe the presenters, we could add that as a message. And I think Lori might have just said this in the chat. You could add that as a message, what do you call it? A comment on the YouTube recording. Add that, like, I'll be responsible. I've got this I already pulled up the link. So I'll be glad to add that once the recording gets posted and available on the YouTube site, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm thinking, like, when we're going back through, if there's links that we've got, oh wow. And that song that's one of my, I keep saying they're my favorite, but wow, that one's really favorite. I got a lot with the heart right now, so thank you.
If you'll send the link to me on text, I will send it to everybody that was in the class tonight.
Oh yeah, it's cool.
I'm really good with text. And I don't mind taking the time to send it to everybody, because I know that every link we send out, there's always somebody that goes, like, Cheryl might have the thought, oh, this might be really great for my friend Doug, who loves stuff about the heart, and just to spread those things around, and to know it's amazing that your heart and your gut have as many brain cells as your brain. Isn't that amazing? I think it's amazing. Yeah. And Tyler, thank you. Do you hear my gratitude?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, good. Thank you. And Tanya and I thank you, because it used to just be me and her.
Yes. It's nice to participate instead of having to run everything.
That's right. So really, really appreciate everybody. Thank you.
All right. Well, hope you all have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good night and good class.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah,
everybody see
Bye.
the recording so that we can share the recording link too. That's awesome.